One man is dead. Another man's life is at stake. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. Now, if, however, there's no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event that you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hi, welcome to the Bench Movie Club. I'm Charlie.
Why are you always saying hi first? Right?
Go on, and you say it.
For once.
Go on.
Hello and welcome to Bench Movie Club. My name is Ben.
I'm Charlie. And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about my choice, 12 Angry Men from 1957, directed by Sidney Lumet, who also directed classics like Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Wiz.
The Wiz? That was in the 70s. Is that the film with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross?
Yeah, like The Wizard of Oz, Blaxploitation Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I'll never see it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it though.
Can't
have been that great.
It's not. It's just weird. Written by Reginald Rose, who this was originally a teleplay. This was like an episode of something. You know how you'd find like Twilight Zone or something like that?
Yeah.
There was a TV series called Studio One, and it was an episode of Studio One in 1954 called 12 Angry Men. It's actually got two of the 12 Angry Men in that particular episode, but it was so successful they then went on to make it as this film. Henry Fonda saw it and he wanted to produce it. For anyone who's not aware of 12 Angry Men, it's a courtroom drama set in almost entirely in one room, played out in real time, with a jury of 12 men deciding on the fate of a young boy who is accused of murdering his dad. The film opens with 11 of the men declaring him obviously guilty, and one of them saying he's not sure. He said not guilty, but mainly because he's not sure, and he feels that the person needs a little bit more decision, because if they find him guilty, he's going to be executed.
Yeah, exactly.
The judge warns him beforehand.
Yeah, I'm surprised I have never seen this film, because I do like an old black and white film, to be truthful.
And the fact that it was black and white actually affected it a little bit in the box office, because at the time when it came out, colour had sort of really taken off throughout the 50s. You had like Singing in the Rain in 1952 was all colour. Obviously Wizard of Oz done the big thing where it changed from black and white to colour, and that was
but
back in
some
39.
films did go colour, did go black and white. Like there's Some Like It Hot was round about 57, I think. So that would have been that was black and white. Also, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was 1962.
Yeah, and Psycho famously was made black and white, even though Hitchcock's previous ones, so like Dial M for Murder 54, Vertigo 58, North by Northwest in 59, and Rear Window in 54, there it was all colour. And I think what it is at the time, it's the new thing. If you're going to the cinema, it was exciting to go see a colour film, because it was such a leap from black and white.
It's a new thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
all new.
And often what would happen with black and white films, people would know that they're black and white and they think, oh wait.
I don't think it would have had the same impact if it was in colour.
No, I don't think it would have.
Like, It's a Wonderful Life. That's black and white, but they colourised it. I know when you colorise something, it doesn't look the same anyway.
No.
But you take away from the story a bit, I think, when it's...
Yeah.
Certain things, like, I'll tell you another one, perfect example that would have looked dodgy in colour, was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, because of, like, the makeup and all that.
Well, this is it.
I think that it shows that certain things should be in black and white.
Yeah, well, this is it. They make films, if they're making it in black and white, they'll consider that when they're making makeup. When they put the makeup on someone, they know what's going to be seen and what's not going to be seen.
It's got to be heavier, isn't it?
Yeah, and by this point, cinema had been going for like 50 years, and people knew what the job they were doing. The cinematographer, Boris Kaufman, he was known for On the Waterfront. He was well crafted in the art of making films, so he knew exactly what he was doing with this. And like you said, I think loads of it would take away, because it's not a big spectacle. It's a character-driven piece.
Of course, yeah.
There's no big violent set pieces or car crashes or murders. I mean, it's about a murder, but it's literally just about these 12 people talking.
It would transfer easily onto the stage because of the settings.
Yeah.
It's all in one room, basically. The very, very small amount at the very beginning and at the very end. you know, but it's like in the courtroom and
Yeah,
you see the young boy.
It is often. There are stage productions of it. They often do the stage
Yeah,
production.
as I'm saying, it would be an easy one that you could actually even fluff it out even more on the stage, because usually a stage production is a lot longer. So you could actually add bits to it or dramatise bits longer and maybe just, I don't know. Just
well, they'd have an interval in the middle. So it'd probably be like 2 40-minute halves. I've seen on YouTube someone's posted a stage production, and how it opens, the whole stage is in black and you hear the judge saying, I want you to consider this man's life, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then it opens with the so it's just literally the one room and you see all the jurors.
Because you don't really need to see the courtroom. All you need to hear is basically, it's this boy's life. Yeah. He's going to be sentenced to death.
It's like the boy... the boy in the film, he'd never done anything. And before or since, he'd literally only got one scene. That's him to sit there looking really scared.
He did look really sad. Mm. He looked really scared. It's quite believable.
And how they made this film was, for those who don't know, both me and Ben have made films ourselves before, and we rehearse a lot. We get a lot of rehearsals done, because then the more you rehearse, the less retakes you have to do. You know, you can do. People are on the money with their knowledge of the script. Well, they done a similar thing with this, where they had 2 weeks solid of them just rehearsing, the whole team of 12 of them, and then they shot it in 4 weeks.
You find that, I know, when another example of that, it's just gone into my brain when you said that. When something has gone from the stage and it's been so successful, it's so easy to transfer it to the screen because you're so comfortable with the roles. Like, for example, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Abigail's Party, they were both really big in the theatre.
Yeah.
And it was mainly the same sort of cast. If you do that day in, day out, when it transfers to film, you're that character.
I like that the film also takes place in real time. Obviously, something famously done by the TV series 24. A number of other films. There was a film I remember in the 90s called Nick of Time with Johnny Depp, which is all, they make a big deal of the fact that you watch it beat per beat, second per second. Also, like Hitchcock's Rope, that was all set. He tried to do that in one shot, but he couldn't because of the technology he had. What I also like about this is the 12 men in the room, they all represent sort of different emotions, different feelings.
They're all completely different, yeah.
But they're also, like, almost every single person can relate to these people, some more than others. So you'll see certain characters in it and go, that would be who I was in the jury. Loads of people obviously think, I'd be Henry Fonda. I'd be the one saying, no, I'm not sure about this. But in reality, we're more likely to be one of the other characters. Not necessarily the nasty ones. You know, although really, there's only one.
There's a lot of sheep in this world, though, isn't there? A lot of people just follow because they don't really... They don't want to cause a fuss, and they don't really think about the consequences of them or their actions, basically.
Yeah, it's also an excellent cast, the ensemble cast, all the people.
I didn't realise that Henry Fonda. That's Henry Fonda, who is the father of Jane Fonda, Peter Fonda, and the granddad of Bridget Fonda.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I didn't know that was their granddad.
Yeah,
I've heard of Henry Fonda. I don't know. Did he have a great relationship with Jane Fonda? I don't know if they had the best of relationships.
I think
they made a film. I remember seeing something. See, don't quote me on this if I've got this wrong, but I know that there was something I heard us talking about. Something with.
Well, I'm not cutting it out if you get it wrong. So be careful what you get. This is Ben's opinion.
No,
go on.
I'm sure there was something that she was so. There was a certain film she'd done with her dad, and it really touched her because it was. Oh, I don't know, actually.
Who touched her?
Like that. No, but it was really emotional for her to do this film with him because I don't know whether she had sort of had not a close... I don't know. Actually, I don't really know. I really don't know. So I shouldn't really say stuff I don't know.
No.
But I know there was something that resonated in a film she made with him that really...
Yeah. Well, Henry Fonda, I've known him from other things. He's famously in Grapes of Wrath, Wrong Man, which is a Hitchcock film. That's a fantastic film about a man.
I might have seen The Wrong Man, but I can't place it in my brain.
And Once Upon a Time in the West, which was a Sergio Leone.
So do you like old black and white films then?
I know, yeah.
I didn't know you liked old black and white films.
I mean,
see, I love black and white films.
Yeah.
It's like I don't dip into them that often at the moment, recent years. But I know that sometimes I've gone through phases just sitting there watching black and white films.
I know you had a big collection of them, which you borrowed to me, and I was going through them systematically.
That's where I found 12 Angry Men.
Sunset Boulevard and things like that. And
like classic things that you've heard of, Casablanca, An Affair to Remember, Some Like It Hot, all that, the old classics that you feel that you should have seen. See, with this 12 Angry Men, it's a brilliant film, really good film. Yeah. I sort of could see the way it was going, and you can sort of tell that it's going to end up like that.
It's no twist in it.
No,
what's the word? It's sort of like a criticism of the justice system. Yeah. Because literally, if Henry Fonda wasn't there, or if he was like the others, it would have been in out, guilty. And
how many times has that happened?
Exactly. So,
and will happen.
This is a study not only on the justice system but also about human beings. Like you said, they're all different. Henry Fonda is the more careful person.
Yeah, he's not trying to be a troublemaker. He's not saying no just because he's not even saying he's not guilty. He's saying I don't know.
But so he's like the conscience.
I don't want to just like put this agree for the sake of it, because this is an 18-year-old boy's life. And he would get executed. So, in respect to that, a lot of people don't think of the consequences of their actions.
No, but he was immensely proud of this. This was one of the only films he ever produced. Right. So it's a big.
How famous was he at this point?
He was fairly. Yeah, he was.
So he was like
an A-list star. He was an A-list at this point. This is why his name is sort of put at the top. I don't think he's the best actor in it. For me, Lee J. Cobb.
Which one does he play?
He's on the waterfront, and he's in Exorcist. He plays a Lieutenant Kinderman in The Exorcist.
Yes.
Right.
Who was he in this though?
He was juror number 3. He's the really angry one, the one who has a bad relationship with his son.
Is he the last one?
He's the last one that turns. But his reason is because of his relationship with his son.
Yeah.
Every single thing that took place in that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. What do you think? I'm an idiot or something? Why don't you take that stuff about the old man who lived there and heard everything? Or this business about the knife. What, because we found another one exactly like it? The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it was? Every single thing. The knife falling through a hole in his pocket. You can't prove he didn't get to the door. Sure, you can take all the time, hobble around the room, but you can't prove it. And what about this business of the L? And the movies? There's a phony deal if I ever heard one. I bet you $5,000 I'd remember the movies I saw. I'm telling you, everything that's going on has been twisted and turned. This business with the glasses? How do you know she didn't have them on? This woman testified in open court. And what about hearing the kid yell? Huh? I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here. Here. Well, that's it. That's the whole case.
He's so sort of angry that
it's quite deep when you sort of get into it. It's clever in respect to that.
Every character, each one of them has their own reason for saying guilty. It's not necessarily the right reasons, but
one of them's got tickets to a baseball game or something. Yeah,
but see that Lee J. Cobb, he represents like anger. And regret. He says, like, he'll contradict himself. He'll say at one bit about how he's slagging off the kids, saying kids don't respect their parents nowadays. Have you noticed that? But then later on, when the old guy is piping up, he's saying, "Oh, why don't you shut up? What are you going on about?" And he starts, and then you got the other guy threatens to punch him. He says, "If you talk to him like that again, I'm going to hit you."
Yeah.
So it shows that he's a hypocrite as well, because he doesn't actually mean that. The whole thing for him is literally his relationship with his son. Yeah. You got the foreman is Martin Balsam, who he's quite a relatable one. He's trying to keep the peace. The short man. He's almost like the neutral in a way. Yeah. He's listening, trying to sort of keep the peace in it. He's famous for he's in Psycho. He plays Detective Milton Arbogast, and he's also in Breakfast at Tiffany's. And on the waterfront.
I don't remember him in Psycho. I do remember Psycho, but there's very few people in Psycho.
Yeah, but he is the reason Psycho's his most famous moment because whenever he had fans, he's tolerant with fans, but they always come up to him. I loved you in Psycho when you fell down the stairs. Because the guy falling down the stairs backwards, that famous scene.
He's not hitting any steps. It's like he's on some
it's like
pulley
he's
or something.
dancing backwards. Yeah. And even though he's obviously happy that they're fans of this, where he's been in so many other great films like this, 12 Angry Men, it's a bit frustrating. You think, I'm always going to be known as the guy falling down the stairs in Psycho.
You get that with a lot of celebrities. They end up resenting the role that made them famous, that everyone loves. But then you got to think, well, if it wasn't for that film, you wouldn't be as loved as much as what you are. You know? You
got John Fiedler, who is the juror number 2, the little man who's like fear, and he's very sheepish, and he sort of goes along with other people.
Yeah.
But you probably recognise his voice as Piglet from Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, yeah.
Do you recognise his voice? I can't get past him. Every time I hear the film, he's like, you can't talk to me like that.
Just imagine Piglet sitting there.
He looks like Piglet, you know. I'm pretty sure this predates Winnie the Pooh, but his voice is unmistakable. Juror number 4 is like Logic. He's the one who wants to stay on the facts the whole time. The one
is he the first one that changes his mind?
No, he's one of the last ones.
Is he the one that got blamed for changing his mind? No.
He's
the angry one blamed the man across the table.
He's the one who the angry one is sitting next to the whole time. He's going, see, you said it best, because he's sitting there talking very factual and goes, look, I'm just talking about the facts.
Yeah.
And he obviously feels, you can tell that he thinks he's better than everyone else.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he is purely based on logic, and it's not until right near the end when one of the other ones mentions about the glasses, and he realises, the woman couldn't have seen the murder through the L train because she would have been in bed without her glasses. No one sleeps with their glasses on. The man who represents youth, Jack Klugman, juror number 5, he's the one who says, I brought myself up from the gutter. You know, he's most famous for playing Quincy in the TV series Quincy.
I've heard of it. I can't place Quincy.
Well, Rosie loves Quincy.
Does she?
She absolutely loves that show, yeah.
Is it?
And I'm not just saying that to wind her up so when she listens to this, she goes, I don't like that fucking programme. What's he talking about? No, I heard this through Mum because we was watching it. She goes, I recognise that guy. I recognise him. And I looked on IMDb and went, oh, he's Quincy.
She's never said that. I've never known her to even mention Quincy.
I'm telling you, talk to her after this podcast. She loves Quincy. He was actually, out of all the cast, they're all dead now.
Well, it would be, I suppose. They're all in their 30s at least, and this is 1957.
30s, 40s, 50s. I think Henry Fonda might even be 50 in this.
Yeah. I think he died a long time ago, Henry Fonda.
I know the old guy, the really old guy in this, he's Mum's age.
Is he?
In this. Not in now, obviously, but in this. So I assume he was one of the first to die. But I know Quincy...
Yeah, but I think people looked a lot older back then.
Yeah. I think Quincy was the last to die. He died Christmas Eve 2012.
Still a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not bad. Juror number 7 was Jack Warden. He's the one who's got tickets for the baseball game.
Yeah.
Now him, if you don't recognise him in this, you'd recognise him much more when he was older. Because when he's older, he had this white hair and a white moustache. He was in Bulworth, While You Were Sleeping, Great Muppet Caper. As I said,
I don't recognise
if I showed you if you looked at a photo of him now, he's dead now. If you looked at so don't look at a photo of him now. If you looked at a photo of him in his older years, he looks so distinctive. The way he plays like this sort of, he's always like a businessman type. He's the irritable one. He's one.
No, I know you're talking about.
No, I know, but I'm saying that out of all the different jurors, because they've each got like a different sort of emotion that you can. He was like irritability. He doesn't want to be there. He couldn't care less, and he's purely. So at the point where that he realises it's swaying, he's the one who goes, oh, well, in that case, I'll say he's innocent as well, because he just wants to get out there. And then the other guy, George Voskovec, he was actually in the original teleplay of it as well. He's supposed to be like morality. He's come to this. He came to like America with all this idealistic thing. He's meant. You can tell he's been trodden on before, and he respects so much now that he's in a country where the justice system is supposed to work. Even he's like, no, you can't change your mind for that. I understand that you change your mind, you're now on my side, but you can't do it simply because you want to go to a baseball game. If you're going to change your mind, you have to change it because you mean it.
Yeah.
Joseph Sweeney is juror number 9.
Okay, yeah.
The very first one to change his mind after Henry Fonda. He represents wisdom because of his age. You know, he has a lot of regret in his life. He regrets that he's never really achieved anything. He regrets that he's not a young man anymore, because you can see he gets pushed around a little bit by the others. But he respects so much what Henry Fonda does. He says, I'm the one who stood up for it.
Yeah,
You know?
the fact that he's gone against everyone else and all he's saying is, let's just make sure before we send this boy to his death.
Yeah. In Family Guy, it's Herbert, the pervert. I changed it. I changed my mind. Ed Begley is number 10. He's bigotry. You know, the obvious one who you see little signs. I've seen the film. I've seen the film loads of times, so I see the signs straight from early on.
See, the thing is, I just wouldn't have thought this would have been your kind of film.
I love old films.
Yeah,
I love the fact that old films rely.
You just love films, didn't you? So you like all different genres because it's all,
really old.
They're telling certain aspects of different parts of history, I suppose.
Like Nosferatu.
Is that where the original ones from Salem's Lot come from?
Yeah, the original vampire creeping up the stairs, which they tried to destroy all copies of it because Bram Stoker's daughter sued them because it was a rip-off of Dracula. The story is Dracula's story, but because the studio never got permission for it, they sued them and they destroyed every copy of it. However, one copy survived, and years later they managed to sort of reproduce it. Otherwise, you'd never have seen the film. Oh yeah, I've got it on DVD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that is really creepy. That's really old. That's like 20s. That's
is that before
sound?
Before sound, right?
And you've also got juror number 12, Robert Webber, who I don't know if you know. He's the ad man in it. No, the one who keeps talking about. He just cares about advertising.
The one with the glasses, dark
hair.
The youngish sort of one.
He played Alexander Hayes in Moonlighting.
What, Moonlighting? The
series, TV series.
Oh, who is he?
Alexander Hayes.
So something to do with Maddie then, Maddie Hayes.
Yeah, so I guess he was her dad. But
I love Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Next time you see it, you'll probably spot his face.
It's obviously Hayes because she was Maddie Hayes, so it's got obviously something to do with her. And I don't think she had any brothers in it, or she didn't have no kids.
I haven't actually seen. I've seen.
You've never seen Moonlighting?
I've seen the pilot, the film.
Oh, the one with the ladder.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly some moments from it. I love the theme tune.
Yeah, me and Mum used to watch it years ago. Al Jarreau.
Al Jarreau, yeah. That's it, yeah.
Me and Mum used to watch it years ago. It was really good.
I see an interview with Jack Klugman, and he said that apparently they all got the same amount. They got $900 a week for while they was working on it over the 6 weeks.
So how many weeks? Oh, 6 weeks.
6 weeks. There's 2 weeks rehearsals, 4 weeks
That's
filming.
not bad, 57. I suppose
No,
that's
not bad.
That's quite a lot of money.
It was actually, the budget for it is fairly high. You wouldn't have thought so because of the layout. You would have thought, well, surely they'd do it a lot cheaper. But the director, who's known for getting really good performances out of people, you can see he gets his money worth because there's no real dead weight.
They all play a part. Some of them are more significant than others, but they've all got their part to play. And it's the ensemble altogether works the way it does because of that.
Oh, it's not just the fact that colour was a reason for the poor box office. It's also because widescreen was huge at the time as well.
Widescreen as well, wasn't that day? Oh, of course,
Widescreen was coming out.
I think a lot of the musicals and stuff was all widescreen.
And you had things like Ben-Hur and Lawrence of Arabia a few years later. These were like big sort of landscapes, and that's what people want to go to the cinema for. They'd sit there and go, wow, look at that desert, it's like you're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The budget was $337,000,
right,
and it made $2 million. So it's not great, but it ain't a loss.
No, and despite that, everyone involved in the film have remarked it's their proudest moment. Because how it's so sort of held up by critics.
I think also because they all equally get their time.
They all get their...
Yeah. They all get their like sort of 15 minutes of fame, not 15 minutes of fame, but they all get they're all an important part of it. Like there's not anyone that sits there that you think... Oh,
what are you doing?
He don't really say nothing.
This is a film that if you had a part in 12 Angry Men and if you was on stage, you'd be really excited. Oh, great, which juror am I? Yeah. I'm that juror?
Well,
brilliant.
It wouldn't matter. I think any of them you'd be okay with. Also, what I wanted to say, the Rotten Tomatoes I was well surprised with.
Yeah.
It got 100% by critics. I don't think I've ever seen that.
No.
And 97% by the audience.
Yeah.
See, I think I would like it more when I watched it a second time round. Because,
it grows.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a good film, and I like all the old black and whites because the storylines and the acting was of a different class. But I think that I would appreciate it a lot more if I did watch it again.
Well, this is it. You got fresh eyes on it. But what you might find, which I found, years later, you'll come into situations, you'll meet people, you'll talk to people at work, and in your mind, you'll have a flashback to a juror. You'll think, that's just like that character from 12 Angry. That's why it's such a great case study for the human being.
Because we all probably know every single person in that jury.
Yeah, absolutely. And
like we all know a version. Like we could sit there and go, right, out of your friends and family and work colleagues and whatever, you could sit and go, well, that one would be that one. That one would be that person. That one would be Charlie. That would be that one. You know, like...
No, but, yeah, I think it's one of those things that you'll think about from time to time. You know, you'll be talking to someone or something will happen, you'll be on the train and something will pop in your mind from it and you go, that's really good. And there's so many moments in this film, it's hard to think of a definitive moment in the film. You know how so many films have that classic line? You know, they have like...
there isn't with this, is
you
it?
can't handle the truth or show me the money, something like that. In this, because it's almost like a series of set pieces. So there's the bit with the knives where he says, you can't find that knife anywhere else. So he gets the knife out, puts it on the table. Straight away, that's it. Or the bit where he goes, he didn't change his vote, I did. You know?
When he goes, nobody puts Begley in the corner.
Yeah.
They start dancing.
Yeah. No, see, it's so many sort of... it's almost equal throughout the film.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so highly rated, because where you have some films where you think, well, it drags a bit in the middle, then it goes up, and then it drags a bit, and then it finishes great, whatever. This stays sort of consistent all the way through. It doesn't deliberately try to surprise you with a twist.
No.
You know, it's just saying logically, well, hold on.
Like, I think you know how it's going to end, because so many films after that have done that. So we've got to remember, this is 1957.
Yeah.
So this was sort of new at the time. So you've also got to take that into consideration. That you might sort of think they're going to get to that kind of ending, but how are they going to get there? How is this one going to be convinced? How's this one going to be convinced? And you know, I sort of see it going with when after the first couple started changing sides, and you thought, well, I know it's how it's going to end, but then you think, what's that journey that's going to take them to that?
This is the thing, you want to know how are they going to change, especially...
So was he guilty then?
Well, this is the good thing about it. You can watch it, like I've watched it different times, and this is something else people recommend. You watch it thinking that the boy's innocent. Next time you watch it, imagine that the boy was actually guilty, because it shows how flawed the justice system is. Because then that way, Henry Fonda isn't the hero. Yeah. He's the guy who's just saved a criminal. Yeah. You know, this boy should...
But there's nothing that tells you either way. It's basically, you're just an you're an outsider looking at this jury, and you're...
Because he's destroyed all
someone taking minutes, basically.
Yeah. So Henry Fonda destroys all the evidence, which the defence lawyer clearly wasn't bothered about doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean the boy was innocent.
See, to me, watching it, I thought the boy was innocent, and this was them...
Which he probably was.
Proving he was innocent. But then also, because you heard that his dad was horrible to him and beat him, and he was from a poor family and this and that, but then... It might have been like a little chav. It might have been like
that might be why he got beaten. Yeah. He might have got beaten because this is the thing they said, he gets into knife fights. Gavin Smith of the Film Comment, which is a famous film magazine, he called the film a definitive rebuttal to the lynch mob hysteria of the McCarthy era. It really depends upon how you watch the film, but if you watch the film and you think, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to imagine that the boy is actually guilty. Yeah. So when they go in there and they go, well, there's enough evidence, but it's because he picks the evidence apart. Because even the things that he picks apart, if you watch it again, you go...
But you don't know what was supposed to be. Do you know, was he supposed, like in the original book, was he supposed to have been guilty or supposed to be innocent?
No, but the original, in the original teleplay, which is available on YouTube, because they found it years later, I think they found it this century, the original 1 hour version, which was made 4 years earlier, which also had Joseph Sweeney, the old man, played the old juror number 9. He played the same role as well in that. That is what the original writer intended. He literally just wanted to show what it's like to be in the jury.
So there was no guilty.
You don't know.
Guilty.
But this is what's so good about the film. You assume watching it with your positive mindset, you think...
I think the majority of people would go into it thinking, oh, he's innocent, and it's just them proving he's innocent.
This is it. Most people would look at it as justice is done. But, as I said, if you'd like to, you can watch it and think, well, what if he's guilty? Yeah, because loads of the evidence that Henry Fonda
you look at it in a completely different way, yeah.
Even like with the knife, they're saying, what are you talking about? He goes, all I'm saying is it's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Because in the end, they decide that he's not guilty because of the reasonable doubt. Yeah. It doesn't mean he was innocent. The film's commonly used in business schools and workshops to illustrate team dynamics and conflict resolution techniques. Right, as I mentioned before, it was the cinematographer was Boris Kaufman, and him and the director, Sidney Lumet, they made this conscious decision where at the beginning of the film the cameras are positioned above eye level and mounted with wide-angle lenses to give the appearance of greater depth between subjects. But as the film progresses, the focal length of the lenses is gradually increased. By the end of the film, nearly everyone is shown in close-up using telephoto lenses from a lower angle, which decreases or shortens depth of field. Lumet stated that his intention in using these techniques with cinematographer Boris Kaufman was to create a nearly palpable claustrophobia. Okay, so that was 12 Angry Men.
So yeah, no, but on the whole, yeah, a good film.
Oh, it was remade again. This is actually technically a remake of an episode, but this is what they consider when you talk about.
But this is the first film, though.
This is the first feature film. It was made again as a feature film in the 90s with Jack Lemmon playing the Henry Fonda part.
I like Jack Lemmon.
I like Jack Lemmon, but again, even though the film is still fairly well received, I think it's like 7.4 on IMDb. Yeah. I don't see the point of watching it. No. Especially when it's literally going to be a retread.
Well. It's going to be so well.
It's going to be a retread of this one.
That's the same with most remakes, though, I think. But then again, some people go, oh, no, I prefer that remake. And it's like with songs. When they re-release a song that you go, this ain't the original. This is the original from the 70s. And they go, oh, no, this is the best one by these, whatever. And you go,
it depends what you see or hear
I think
first.
It's just a generational thing.
But it's also, if you'd seen the colour one, this is why I emphasise, make sure you see the original. Yeah. Because I'm sure you would have watched the colour one.
Well, I had that one on my Fire Stick. I had the older one on my Fire Stick, but I never had the 1957 one, which is the more famous of the two. Yeah,
well, see, this is a danger. If you'd watched the one from the 90s, you would have still enjoyed it.
I'm just glad I went through that deep, because I went through a time when I got this folder that I used to put onto disc, about three films on a disc. So I put them all on there, and for some reason it was in there. So I must have known it was an important film.
Well, it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director and Best Screenplay, but it lost out, I think, on all three to Bridge on the River Kwai. So that was 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, very good film.
And next podcast, do you know what you've picked on?
I'm thinking of Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Because I love that film. And I love Elizabeth Shue and Nicolas Cage. I think it's a very sad, it's like a sad rom-com. It's like
I wouldn't say no. It's a romantic drama. And what I love about that was anyone who ever criticises Nicolas Cage, which I know he goes over the top, I know he's a wild actor, but if you watch him in that, which he won an Oscar for, didn't he? You can see why he's so highly regarded.
Oh, he's fantastic.
By so many
They're
people.
both well cast. See, she was so that is people didn't want her to do it because she was this clean cut, like Adventures in Babysitting, all that kind of stuff, and Back to the Future too, and all that. And they went, she's not the right person. She blew that out of the water as well. She was fantastic. That showed her range. So that will be us next week. All right then. Thanks for listening, and hope to hear. Thanks for listening, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.
Hope to hear from you soon.
Hope to hear from you soon. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.